What is a functional alcoholic? We hear this all the time in many different rooms and many different people in all walks of life. But what does it actually mean? Are they really functioning? Is it really a life that is meant to be lived where you're drinking and drinking and drinking and you're able to pay your bills, you're able to keep a roof over your head, but everything else seems to be going by the wayside? You're not the great family man you once were. You're not the great worker you once were. You find yourself in and out of doctor visits because you just don't feel good all the time. Maybe you resolve to yourself, I'm not going to drink, or maybe I'm only going to drink on the weekends, or maybe only 3 at night. That's my limit. I'm going to stop at 3. But you find yourself over and over again having way more than 3 and wondering what happened. What is going on here? Am I a degenerate, like some of the people say? Am I unable to hold my liquor? Am I just weak willed? Do I just need to be able to take the bull by the horns? Maybe I need a Tony Robbins seminar. What is it that I need to be able to get and stay sober or moderate my drinking in a way that actually makes sense? How do I stop being a functional alcoholic and just be a normal drinker? These are the questions that go on in our head. And today, what we're going to do is we're going to talk to you about 5 ways to look at this and 5 signs of a high functioning alcoholic. Because I thought back then I was a high functioning alcoholic. Boy, was I wrong. What you're going to learn about today might be shocking if you think you are a functioning alcoholic. So, Terry, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. And I thought the same thing. I thought I was a high functioning alcoholic or just even a functioning alcoholic. And what does a functioning alcoholic mean? I mean, I guess a definition would be that you're dependent on alcohol, yet you're still able to function in life. Like Marcus was just saying, you pay your bills, you're able to do family activities or other activities, and you're able to live what would appear to be a normal life. Yet you still need alcohol and you're addicted. And so that's kind of the way I was, definitely, for a long, long time. I'm talking decades. And um, I certainly had some of these 5 symptoms, actually, probably all of them, that we're going to go over. And why don't I just jump right into them? And one of the symptoms, and this was especially true for me, was that for activities and things like that, like going out with friends, going to a party, going to do some sort of a function, you always are thinking about, is there going to be alcohol there? If there's not, am I going to bring it? Stuff like that. And that's a real important one. That's kind of the way I was. Now, early earlier years, my 20s and stuff, maybe that wasn't quite the dominating thought, but still, alcohol, I was very happy when it was there. And I did think about, well, we're going to do this. You got to have some beers. So let's make sure we bring some if there's not going to be any there. Somebody that alcohol isn't dominating their life, they're not worried about that. They're not thinking about that. So that's one of the main symptoms of maybe being a functional alcoholic, that you're just kind of thinking about it all the time. And another one might be um, and any of us drinkers, we've probably done this where we've drank way too much. The night before was kind of a little bit fuzzy. Maybe it was all the way fuzzy. We don't remember at all what we did. I think most of us have probably gone through this, and that was definitely the case with me. Was I a complete blackout drinker? No, not at all. That's even towards the end, I was not much of a blackout drinker, but I did have those times where I was kind of wondering, well, what happened last night? What did I say? You ever get that feeling of, oh, I think I may have said the wrong thing to this person. I'm gonna have to avoid them from now on. Things like that. And that's kind of what I was going through. So these first 2 symptoms, Marcus, did you experience any of this stuff at all?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I couldn't stop drinking and I worried all the time how much alcohol I had because I was
Yeah.
terrified of being without it. So I would go, I remember years ago, I had a friend of mine and we would go and have ales with lunch. We always liked our different types of ales, and there was this brewery we would go to. And after I had gotten sober, he was like, Marcus, I never knew you were an alcoholic. You always seemed fine to me. And I was like, that's because you didn't realize that before our noon lunch, I had about 6 beers or drinks or whatever. And he's like, wow, I never would have known that. And to me, I had to stock up. So I was somewhat tipsy all the time. I had to be
Yeah.
somewhat tipsy all the time. And then I would also watch, like, okay, how many can I get? If I'm at a concert, how do I time it so I can get them and have enough throughout the concert? If I'm at dinner, I pretty much order as many as I wanted. But it got pretty crazy. And then I also noticed that my inability to control it stopped. Like it was controlling me. I was not controlling it. Now I thought I had a handle on things because, I worked from home. My job was okay. I thought that the lack of doing good in my job was just, because of the world. Everything was against me. It wasn't
Yeah.
because I was drinking. Come to figure it out, it was like, yeah, a lot of the problems that I had in my life were because of drinking. And that's why on this channel, we talk about things that go on in your life. We talk about upbringing and family, but really what we talk about is alcoholism and chemical dependency. And looking at that is the key. Like, was I functional? Well, that's debatable. Was I chemically dependent? 100%. 100% chemically dependent. Why? Because, how much more functional am I without alcohol? How much more functional am I, doing my own thing? Way more functional. To say that we are functioning alcoholics, when I look back at my life, was I functioning? I was not functioning. I was surviving barely, day to day. It's like the world was coming at me and I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know which way was up. And it seemed like I was functioning. And to the outside people, oh, hey, he doesn't seem like a drunk. He just seems like he drinks a lot. Um, but it's an illusion. You're not functioning. There's no such thing as a functioning alcoholic. You're either an alcoholic or you're not.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
that's definitely what I challenge about people that say that they're functioning alcoholics, or that somebody is a functioning alcoholic, or if that's even a thing. Um, for for what I've observed, and especially for me, a functioning alcoholic is just basically you haven't gone all the way yet, and that's the
mhm.
big thing, is yet.
Yeah,
You know, it's going to
no,
keep getting worse.
yeah, and
That
I think it's interesting because I think the word functioning alcoholic allows us middle class suburbanites to cope with the fact that we are alcoholics. Because I'm like, oh, like Terry, we grew up, or we didn't grow up, but we lived in San Francisco area for a while, and you would go on the Tenderloin and you'd see people in the road. Those are non-functioning alcoholics and drug addicts. I'm functioning. I have my nice shoes on. I'm walking down the road. Now, I can't say that if I was left to my own devices with alcohol and drug use, I wouldn't end up there on the Tenderloin. I can't say that I wouldn't be homeless. I can't say that I wouldn't lose everything. I got pretty close. And then when you lose something, what do you do to cope with it? You drink and use more. And it's this vicious cycle. And, an alcoholic with a suit and tie is still an alcoholic. An alcoholic without his shoes laying on the ground is still an alcoholic. We are still chemically dependent. Me and that alcoholic that is non functioning by society's norms have more in common than me and the people around me, because we're addicts and alcoholics. And that's what's interesting, because I can go into a recovery meeting anywhere on earth and I relate to people as if I've known them for years, because we have that common bond of, we were chemically dependent. Here's how we dealt with it. And this is how we react and respond in the world, until we don't. And the don't is, unfortunately, worst case scenario. We end up homeless and losing everything, or not around anymore. And we look at it and we're like, well, how did I get here? And my warning would be, I wish someone came along when I thought I was a cute, functioning alcoholic who, ran his business and did his stuff. People would, that's funny. Yeah, I knew you were drunk on that business call. I knew this, I knew that. Um, no one really came along and said, if you keep this up, you know what's going to happen. And I think that the lines get blurred between the degenerate alcoholic stigma, because let's face it, recovery materials that are popular today were around in when it was a religious group. And religion is like, you bad, God good, repent. And it's like, okay, are we really bad? Was Terry a bad guy, or was he influenced by alcohol? He's influenced by alcohol. He's actually a pretty good guy. I'm sure he was before he started drinking heavily. Same with me. I don't think I was necessarily this degenerate, crazy, out of control person. It's alcohol that put us there. And I think putting that in the box helps us understand what's really going on and helps us realize, hey, this is the substance. That's what it is. I'm not functioning. I think I'm functioning, but I'm not. And get sober for a while, and you'll see how little you actually function. And I know it's scary when you're functioning and you feel like you're a functioning alcoholic. It is scary to think about life without the drug or without whatever it is. And it doesn't have to be. We could go to the doctor, we could get patched up. We do recover.
Yeah, indeed. Oh, before I go on, David, yeah, that's a great topic idea, talking on vacations alone and vacation and travel and stuff like that. We'll hit that topic soon. Thanks for the suggestion. I appreciate that. Marcus had touched on a couple other symptoms of a functioning alcoholic, and one was that you didn't know where to stop as far as when you'd start drinking. That's a real big sign right there. Is that was me definitely. I was always saying I'm just going to have two, or I'm just going to have four, or whatever it was. I'd have that limit, and once I started drinking, that limit went out of the window. Maybe I'll just have one more than what I said I was going to have, and it would be a lot more than one more. And that was definitely the case with me, and obviously Marcus has already mentioned it. That was his case too, and I see that a lot with people, even when they're functioning alcoholics. And any alcoholic, they try to control their drinking so that they don't get that label or whatever of being an alcoholic, and they can't do it. And that's the way I was the entire time I was drinking. I didn't know where to stop. Maybe every once in a while I'd be able to control and drink just four or whatever it was, but usually it was just continuing on and drinking a lot more than I wanted to. Another one that's pretty big, and most people that are struggling with alcohol do this. For me, I didn't want to get caught. I didn't want to get that. It wasn't so much the label, and like Panny just said, maybe stop calling yourself an alcoholic, and yeah, I didn't want that label or anything like that. And nowadays, I don't care about the label. It's whatever. Whatever. I call myself an alcoholic because that's just, it reminds me that I can't have alcohol. Other than that, I don't, I, whatever. Don't want to call yourself an alcoholic. That's cool. But for me, when I was drinking, I didn't want to be forced to quit. That's what it came down to, is I didn't want to have somebody say you need to stop drinking, and then I had to stop and then go through all that stuff of having to quit and all that. And so I hid my drinking. And like the wife is getting ready because we're going out to a party or something, and I'd have sneak some drinks so that I made sure I had enough. So I didn't want to drink 15 in front of her at the place, so I'd have a couple before, maybe a couple after we got home, and sneak a couple while we're there, or hiding the bottle somewhere in the house and under the house or in the garage or whatever. Alcoholics have all the best. They know how to hide stuff, and that's a real common symptom right there, is hiding the drinks. Or another symptom would be where those people closest to you, they're starting to notice and they're starting to mention it to you. And this kind of goes with the next symptom, which is these people are noticing and they're starting to call you out on it. They're like, hey, maybe you shouldn't be having so many drinks tonight, or maybe take a day off here and there, or something like that. And you get all defensive about it. And oh, if you were going through what I'm going through, you'd need a drink too, and stuff like that. Those are some big signs when you're really starting to defend your actions. And even along with that as well, I remember working a long, hard day, And I was a chef my whole life and just thinking, I cannot wait until I get off work and get some drinks in me. So alcohol started to become part of my thought process, every part of it. It took over more and more. And that was a big red flag for, well, it wasn't a red flag for me when I was drinking, but it is a big red flag is when you're starting to constantly think about it. I've said it on many of our shows, my life revolved around alcohol. I was a functioning alcoholic for quite a long time until, I don't know, I mean, even into the probably the last couple years, I wasn't so functional. I'd driven everything out of my life. That's what I would consider non-functioning, is that I'm just basically existing to drink. And that was maybe the last couple of years. The rest of the time, I was functioning. I moved through the ranks of being a chef. I was up to the top of being a chef and at a big hotel. I was there. I was functioning. Things were good until it wasn't. And that's what I think one of the biggest takeaways. We've told you some symptoms to look out for, whether it's for you or a loved one or something like that. Um, and and these are things to look out for yourself, definitely. But the biggest takeaway of this is maybe you are a functional alcoholic, and maybe you think you can continue on for indefinitely like this. And maybe these symptoms are there, but you're like, I got this. I'm good. I'm in control. Well, the problem with alcohol dependency is it gets worse. That is what happens. Not it might get worse, it gets worse. And it will continue. It is a progressive condition. And that's what will happen. And so, really, a functioning alcoholic is just the before somebody becomes a non-functional alcoholic. If I continued to drink, I wouldn't be around anymore. I had to stop to save myself, and that's what I had to do. Um, so just real quick, so if you're having a hard time stopping, like once you start drinking, it's not stopping like taking a few days off. I think pretty much anybody can do that, but stop it. You've had a couple drinks. You were just going to go out and have two beers with the guys or whatever it is, and you want more or you keep drinking more. That's a sign right there. You can't. You're hiding your drinks from your family. Some people, including me, I hid drinks for myself. I mean, what's up with that? That's just insanity. Or you can't relax, or your activities, you need to, you want alcohol with whatever activity that you're going to. That's a big one. Or maybe the blackouts, or just the fuzzy nights, the fuzzy happenings before, or you said something you wouldn't have said to somebody when you were sober, and you caused some issues. These are all the negative consequences with drinking. And there's a lot more, but these are the things you need to look out for. Are you continuing to drink despite these negative consequences? These are big things, and these are the types of things you need to watch out for. And that's what we try to show you here with all our shows. And definitely hit the like button and subscribe to us. We really want to get this message out there and tell people the real problems with trying to stop drinking, the real problems we have. This is what Marcus and I went through, and we try to be as honest with you as we can. We're not trying to sugarcoat it at all. Getting sober, getting sober is difficult, but at the same time, it's a much easier way of life. That's for sure. So we have some comments. Not too many comments today, but that's okay. Let us know what you're thinking about what we got. David West said functioning less, and yeah, that's kind of the trajectory for it. It wasn't where I was a functioning alcoholic, and all of a sudden I was non-functioning. It was just kind of going downhill and downhill and downhill, and my my base would just get lower and lower and lower. Rupert says loss of driving license, financial ruin, all the yets happened. So yeah, and for me, a lot of those yets happened as well. I know a lot of people that have been able to stop without the yets happening, but they were able to see these signs, and they were able to get through it and stop drinking. They realized it just wasn't doing any good for them. We were actually on a call the other day with somebody that hasn't had a lot of those yet, but he did recognize that alcohol was not helping him at all. It was hurting him, and that he is trying to stop. And good for him, and good for any of you that are trying to stop as well or have stopped. Definitely. And
So
everybody, well, at least David loves your banana shirt, Marcus.
it is a good banana shirt. All right. Well, I got a little bit of an echo. Do you hear that?
I do not hear an echo.
That's weird. Sounds like it's coming through your speaker. Your speakers are what's playing my voice, yeah. Not headphones, obviously, because you don't have them on. That's probably it. I had to be at a very low point to finally stop for good. Yeah, I agree. I mean, unfortunately, I had to be at a very low point too. The lowest of lows for me. And it was pretty difficult. But luckily, it seems like we dig ourselves into this crazy, crazy um, pit of despair. But it's actually a lot easier to climb out of than I thought. Like I thought it was going to take years to climb out, and some of you guys might have that with legal trouble and things like that. But recovery actually, it kind of happens pretty quick, which was good. Now, do you start feeling amazing, like you're going to run marathons a week after you get sober? No, but is it quick and better, and do you feel better almost instantaneously? Yeah, I did, because not having the alcohol every day, it worked well. Also, some things I learned later in sobriety is, the stuff that I eat also affects me. So like I have my smoothie with my, greens, spinach, and all that stuff in the morning. And that starts my day. I wasn't able to do that before because I had to hit the booze right away as soon as I woke up. So yeah, you start to feel better, or I did very quickly. Now that's also, if you are a functioning alcoholic, you should definitely go to the doctor and see what's been going on, because detox can be life threatening. Always go to a doctor, even if you don't think you need to, just to be, hey, this is what I've been drinking. What should I do? Can I safely detox? And he might give you some stuff that'll help you get through it. I know when I was in rehab, they gave us stuff and they were like, no, for the first night at least, it's mandatory that you take this because we're not going to have you have a seizure on our watch. So take this. And I did. And I think it just helped me sleep. I probably wouldn't have slept. That was the difficulty in the beginning, was being able to sleep, because, all of these downers are now out of my system, and I'm drinking coffee and, having coffee at 10 o'clock at night meetings. Yeah, I'm going to be up all night. But it was okay. I just, laid there and listened to music or talks until I fell asleep. And, it seemed to work pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah. But, everything you're explaining is exactly what happened to me as well. Definitely. And Rupert's talking about some real stuff here. We really appreciate your honesty, Rupert. That's awesome. And you're saying that you were functional for 20 years, but uh, nothing prepared you for the next phase, which is loss of career, marriage, relationships, legal problems. Hey, that was pretty close to what I went through too. That's definitely it. And you're talking about, you're seeing guys in the rooms that thinking you weren't that bad, and yeah, then it happened to you. And that's kind of what happened to me. That's what I see happen to many people. Whether they were wearing a suit like I am in the thumbnail of this video, and or whatever, or they didn't have a job at all. It happens. It can happen to anybody if you keep on drinking, and it's a tough thing to get through, definitely. But yeah, we can all be functional for a long time while we're addicted to alcohol, but it will get worse. That's the hardest part. And yeah, huh? Okay, you say I am at my most vulnerable. Well, now you're gonna have to read it, Marcus. Mine just went to an ad.
Okay. Uh, I'm at my most vulnerable to relapse when life is getting good because I was so used to darkness. Took me a long time to get used to feeling good. Yeah, feeling good is a trigger for a lot of people, where you're like, hey, I feel good. Maybe I can start drinking again. Or, hey, I feel good. Maybe this is happening or that can happen. Um, when really what we need to do is we need to just be, right? When I feel good, I'll just feel good and be sober. When I feel bad, I'll feel bad and be sober. Looking at that is key because, the minute you start writing the peaks in the valley as if they are, gospel truth, gonna change your life. It's like, we get through it. I mean, we legit got through alcoholism. I mean, if you're sober, you did at least, or hopefully a lot of you guys will. And that's really like, okay, if I can get through that, I can get through everything pretty much. I'm going to be okay. And just looking at it as I'm going to be okay. I don't need to drink no matter what because I know drinking makes things worse. And I kind of like feeling good. Um, so that's kind of how I looked at it.
I agree with you. Yep, that's it. I don't put too much thought into labels or the fighting alcohol or anything like that. I've said it many times. If I had to fight alcohol, I probably wouldn't be sober right now. It's just putting concentration into life and understanding at the same time that I cannot have alcohol. So whatever happens in life, I cannot have alcohol, and so I don't. But trying to enjoy life, trying to do things that have nothing to do with alcohol that I like doing.
Mm.
So for some of you, it might be going on the walks or hiking, spending time with family, things like that. And those are the types of things that I try to do. Is just focus my life on on doing great things, helping other people, things like that. And that's how I stay sober on a daily basis. But I have to make sure that I don't drink. So I'm free to do everything in the world except drink. That's it. And that's
Yeah,
the key. If you think
absolutely.
you're if you think you're a highly functional alcoholic, it might be something to look at. I mean, you could just stop and see what happens. I mean, go to a doctor if you're having any withdrawal symptoms or anything like that. It's always good to see a doctor, anyways, if you stop drinking suddenly. But do that and then try stopping. See what happens. If you can't stop, maybe it's something that you need to look at. Definitely.
Yep. Dave says, great topic. All this happened to me over the years. I went from a heavy drinker for many years to completely out of control. Yes, I find that is a big one.
Yeah. Yep. Appreciate your comment, Dave, and it's good to see you here every week. That was
Absolutely.
me, for sure. So, if you guys want to support what we're doing here, we're trying to get our word out to everybody that is having struggles with alcohol. Like I said, we're trying to give you the real things that we go through and the real way to stay sober for us, and hopefully that can help you guys too. And if you want to support us, go over to talksober.com and you can click on join our program, or it doesn't quite say that. Anyways, you can click on that and join our program. You get a program that's going to help you stay sober. And if you're looking to get sober, you can go over there, support us as well, and go through those modules, and yeah, and that'll help you with your sobriety, definitely.
Absolutely. Let me see if I can bring the screen up. I don't know. On this computer, I didn't set that up. Let's see. Window capture. What do we got here?
Yeah, Rupert, you're talking about a lot of things that we try to remind people of. The moment of potential madness will pass. It took you years to learn to sit with yourself and your urges, talk to yourself, reason with yourself. Yes, that's what I have to do too. Is just so we're gonna have things that happen in our life that may make us or have that urge to drink. We don't have to take that drink. We don't have to respond to that. And once we get some time in sobriety, it becomes easier, and it can continue to become easier. But we still have to be cognizant of the fact that we can't take that drink.
All right, here you go. Now you could talk about talk sober. There we got the screen up.
Yeah, but I can't see it. So you're
Okay,
gonna have to
well,
talk.
all right.
I
Let me
I
see if I
hasn't
could
caught up
switch.
yet.
Let me see if I can switch the person here. Hold on. Let's see here. Let's see. We'll add
Sorry about that.
video capture device.
Oh, I can see
Think.
it now. No, it's all right.
Here we go. There we go. All right. So if you guys want to support what we're doing and get information on how to get and stay sober, we have the join our recovery class right here. You can click this. It'll open up. It's like a $27 a month thing. You can cancel whenever you want. You'll get access to all these MP3s, MP4s, PDFs. It's like a whole workshop about getting and staying sober. We're trying to add to it all the time, so we got some new stuff going in there from time to time. Excuse me. Also, you can see over at talksober.com, we have a private sobriety call you can get with Terry and myself. If you want to talk to us about sobriety, check this out. We can make it. There we go. There we are. Look at that. That is some fancy, fancy stuff right there. You can get a private sobriety call with Terry and myself. You can get links to the Talk Sober live show, question if should you go to rehab, some of the letters to give you an example of what's going on. We also have a Facebook group and different links and things like that. But over at talksober.com, if you click that yellow button, that's how you can support what we're doing here on the channel and get all kinds of tools to help you in your sobriety. So thanks for being here. We'll see you next week, and hop on over to talksober.com, support the show, and have a good one.